I want you to think about how many hours we spend chasing financial capital. Think about generating gross profit, reducing expenses, looking at the advertising budget. But let me ask you a question. How much time have you spent chasing your team's psychological capital? Because here's the truth. Financial capital is essential. It keeps the doors open. But psychological capital, that's what determines whether your people walk through that door with fire in their belly or excuses on their lips. Simply put, financial capital keeps the lights on. Psychological capital builds the A players that win the game. I'm Chris Hunsicker, and this is the Dealership War Room Leadership Fire 7 minutes, built daily, fueled intentionally, and delivered relentlessly. And today we're going to dive into that first core element of psychological capital, the power of hope. So what is psychological capital? It's the hidden currency of elite performers. And it's made up of 4 core elements: hope, efficacy, resilience, and optimism. Put together, it spells the acronym HERO. And here's what we're literally going to do. We are going to equip you to give your team the skills, the DNA, what they need to become the hero of their own story. You become the Obi-Wan Kenobi to their Skywalker. So let's look at this. Think of it this way. If DNA is the structure of an A player, then PsyCap is the fuel that makes the DNA come alive. No PsyCap, no A player. So let's start by redefining hope. Hope isn't some wishy-washy feeling of kind of nebulous, where are we going to go? I hear all the time, hope is not a business strategy, and it's not. But hope is an absolute element of psychological capital. And let me define what I mean. The psychological capital version of hope is this. It's your ability to set a goal, identify a pathway, a way to get there, and then motivate yourself to take action and get it done. Psychologists call this pathways plus agency. What we call it is hope. That is exactly what every single A player needs. They can set a goal, define pathways to get there, and then motivate themselves to take action. Think of agency as willpower, the ability to motivate yourself to get stuff done, to force yourself to action. Whereas when you think of pathways, think of way power. It's finding multiple different pathways, plan A, B, C, D, so that when obstacles come up, you got another path, another obstacle, you got another path. Together, this is hope. It's agency and pathways. And without both, people stall. They get stuck. They give up. But with both, they always find a way to move forward, no matter what the obstacles are. So now let's connect the dots. How does hope, as I'm defining it, agency and pathways, absolutely define, build, and sustain A players in every part of your organization? Let's look at those 4 elements of an A player, that DNA of an A player. The first was clarity, and hope fuels it. What clarity does, it says, here's the target, and I know I can hit that target. I know exactly what the target is. I know exactly what the goal is, and I'm going to find a way to get there. And if an obstacle comes up, I'm going to find another way. But clarity, hope fuels clarity. Let's take a look at competency. Hope absolutely drives growth. Without hope, people just give up. But with hope, people lean into coaching. They want to figure out a way. They want to get better because they know they have to have multiple pathways. So they've got to have multiple skills to execute those pathways. And the competency, hope, absolutely fuels growth, a commitment to coaching and a commitment to getting better. As far as commitment goes, hope sustains the effort, keeps people going, even when the scoreboard dips, even when the weather isn't favorable. What keeps you marching forward when it's hard. And as far as character goes, hope, it anchors pride, it anchors that sense of confidence. It says to yourself, no matter how hard today is, or no matter how many times I fail today, tomorrow will be better because I will show up again. You have seen this in every area of your business. When there's no hope, or without hope, commitment, it just collapses. And people return to their excuses. They start seeking out their excuses. As a matter of fact, they start sharing their excuses with everybody. And then they give up before the game is even over. And you watch this at the end of weeks, at the end of months, and at the end of years. I remember working with a brilliant young sales manager in the Southeast. And he's like so many that I'm sure that you've met in your life. He had the chops, but he had no hope. And so every setback felt final. Miss a deal and he'd spiral, lose a top performer, and he was sure the store was doomed. For John down in Atlanta, the breakthrough came when he stopped asking, can I? And he started asking, how can I? That's the essence of hope. It doesn't deny problems. It focuses on creating pathways. And within 90 days, he turned that store completely around. They went from survival mode of trying to figure out what was going to go on with John to breaking sales records in gross, new, and used. Now, I will tell you, despite teaching, talking about, and coaching around this for the last 30 years, most managers still confuse hope with hype. They think just yelling a little louder, another incredibly fiery speech, or another motivational meme, that's what's going to build hope. And it won't. As a matter of fact, it never does. Hope isn't noise. Hope is structure. And it's built on clear goals, small wins, and reflecting on past successes, remembering that you can do this, and then getting your team to consistently ask, how can we do this, and not if we can do this. So now let's cross the insight to action bridge. And all I want you to do, I invite you to look at your team and ask yourself, who's lost or losing hope? Who's kind of already resigned themselves to those negative stories that we talked about last week? They're saying to themselves inside their head, the month's already gone. The market's too hard. The obstacles are too big. There's no way we're going to get past this. So pick one person this week and help them rebuild hope. Show them a small win. Help them identify one new pathway. And hope becomes that first domino. Knock it down, and the rest of PsyCap all starts to fall into place. Tomorrow, we'll move into the E of the hero model, efficacy. That sense, I can do hard things. Because hope without confidence, it just fizzles. And I want to keep coming back to this. Financial capital is critical, right? It's what keeps the lights on. But psychological capital is what builds A players that can win the game. And our ability to install hope is absolutely critical to building and sustaining our A players. So go out today, find some small wins, create some pathways, become a purveyor of hope throughout your entire dealership, and create some leadership fire. And I'll see you tomorrow in the dealership war room.